Hi, third graders. It's Mrs. Tarek. Happy last Tuesday of third grade. Today I'm going to be reading a book to you called My Brother Dan's Delicious, and the author is Stephen L. Lane. And I typically read this during our opinion writing unit because this boy right here, the main character of the book, is trying to convince some monsters to eat his brother instead of him. It's pretty cute. Sometimes, when you're 8 and a half, life throws you an unexpected curve. In my case, it happened just last night. I went to my best friend Dave's house for supper, and his mother served one of her weird casseroles. It looked to me like things were moving underneath the crust, so I didn't eat much. I left his house at 7 o'clock, walked 3 blocks to my house, and that's where the trouble started. When I reached our front door, I found a note. It said, "Dear Joey, your father and I went across the street to have a cup of coffee with the Dixons. Dan is at the movies with a friend, but he will be home soon. Love, Mom." At first glance, the note didn't appear to be a problem. In fact, I was thrilled. My mother and father were finally admitting that their youngest child was old enough to stay home alone. At second, third, and fourth glance, however, I became rather upset. I mean, what was the matter with my parents? This note was advertising to practically everyone in the entire world that an innocent youngster, not to mention the child voted most interesting show and tell speaker for 3 years running, was going to be left home alone, unprotected. Now, everyone knows that monsters, especially those with a taste for pan-fried boys, are waiting for just this kind of opportunity to come along. Of course, I'm too old to believe in them anymore, but if I did still believe in monsters, you can be sure I'd know just how to handle this type of situation. The first step, of course, is to get inside the house, where your movements cannot be easily tracked. The second step is to identify the likely hiding places of these villainous creatures, if in fact they are already inside the house. The third and most important step in dealing with monsters, however, is to distract them. For example, if I felt like a monster was watching me at this very moment, thinking perhaps about a fantastic dinner featuring me, I would simply alert him to the existence of my older, larger, tastier brother Dan. There are times when sacrifice is the only way. I would miss him, but he does have the bigger bedroom. Perhaps for the benefit of those who still give in to that occasional moment of monster fear, I should begin a demonstration. Are there any monsters about? If there are, I just want you to know that my brother Dan's delicious. Yes, indeedy do. He's one ultra tasty guy. He's a succulent sibling, all right. Any monsters looking for a tender boy to munch on would do well to stay right where you are while I share some personal insights on what makes my brother a magnificent meal choice. Well, to begin with, Dan's a big guy. Sort of. Okay, so he didn't make the wrestling team. Still, he's bigger than I am. I mean, a guy like me would barely make an appetizer, whereas a monster who planned well could probably get at least 3 good meals out of Dan. Do I hear the sounds of stomach growling coming from behind my basement door? Well, just you stay put. My brother Dan will be home soon. My brother Dan's delicious. Next, let's consider intake. Danny boy eats all of the stuff Mom tells him to. Carrots, potatoes, even broccoli. And a guy like me prefers goodies from the candy counter at Mrs. Costelli's drugstore. So any monster with dietary concerns is going to want to grab Danny. He's like a Thanksgiving turkey, already stuffed for the platter. Is something smacking its lips with eager anticipation inside that coat closet? Well, just you stay put. My brother Dan will be home soon, and my brother Dan is delicious. In most of the stories I've read, monsters have all kinds of trouble capturing the boys they want to eat. But in Danny's case, a smart monster will meet with easy success and have a good laugh before dinner. In other words, Dan is not too bright. Is something about to release some terribly discovered saliva from underneath the king-size bed? Well, just you stay put. My brother Dan will be home soon, and my brother Dan is delicious. Finally, and most importantly, there's the issue of taste. Fortunately, I can offer personal testimony to the fact that my brother Dan is nothing less than a 13-year-old mouth-watering flavor factory. It is true that I came by this knowledge through a rather painful series of events that found Dan's hand and feet colliding with my mouth at a force just below nuclear. Still, I must confess that in each and every one of those situations, I noticed that my brother had a uniquely appetizing taste. What's that giant shadow moving just outside the back porch door? Well, just you stay put. My brother Dan will be home soon. My brother Dan's delicious. Yes, my brother Dan is delicious, divine, delectable, and delightful. He's a meaty, mouth-watering meal of undeniable flavor. Yes, he's an unparalleled taste sensation. He's a virtual banquet for monsters of our day. Hey, I know. When he arrives, I will signal any waiting monsters with a secret code sentence, okay? Then he's all yours. As soon as I get him into position, I'll yell really loud, "My brother Dan is my hero."